Hi, sixth graders. Last week we read about Abraham, Jacob, and Joseph. And you just read about how Joseph and all of Jacob's sons moved everything they had and came to live with Joseph in Egypt. And they were treated very well because of what Joseph had done for the Egyptians and how Pharaoh had trusted him and put him as second in command in Egypt. Well, let's fast forward a lot of years, several hundred years, and the Egyptians have totally forgotten about Joseph and have totally turned on the Israelites so much that they've taken them as slaves. You know those pyramids that we love so much in Egypt? Those were built by Israelite slaves. The Sphinx, the Great Pyramids, built by slaves. So the people are just devastated. They've spent hundreds of years as slaves, and no one remembers that they were brought there by the Pharaoh. That Joseph, who was an Israelite, was revered and honored by Pharaoh. That's all been forgotten. So, to compound this, the Pharaoh, the current Pharaoh, is becoming afraid because the Israelites are starting to grow in number. Growing in number so much that the Pharaoh fears that they will rise up against the Egyptians and overtake them. So, in order to instill fear and to control the population, he orders a decree that the oldest son, or all sons, oldest son, all sons, under the age of 2 must all be killed. He issues this. So the Israelites become very afraid. Many of them try to hide their children. Some succeed, many don't. One woman in particular hides her child for as long as she dares to. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how you tell a baby, shh, please don't cry now. You could be killed, because they're looking for all male babies. I don't know how the woman does it, but she does. She gets to the point where she can't keep them silent anymore. She can't hide them anymore. So she has her daughter take the baby, put him in a basket, and float him in the Nile, and to see if someone will find the baby and take the baby in. So the sister does this. She hides in the reed and she watches the baby float. Now the baby is found by the Pharaoh's sister. She's the princess of Egypt. She doesn't have any children. So she takes this child, knowing, she can tell by the way the baby's dressed, that this child is an Israelite, and she doesn't care. She takes the baby in, and she raises the baby as her own. Fast forward. Oh, by the way, she names the baby Moses because he's been raised from the water, taken from the water. That's what Moses means. So fast forward several more years. Moses knows that he's an Israelite, and he sees the mistreatment of the Israelites. He sees how the guards will kill slaves if they don't obey, or if they don't bow to every command, or if they don't work as hard as they're supposed to work. And he can't stand the mistreatment. And one day, he kills an Egyptian guard to defend an Israelite. And he is sentenced to exile. Now, you need to know something about Egyptian geography. Egypt is in the middle of a desert. The Nile River flows through Egypt, which makes it a place where it's easy to grow crops. But it's pretty much surrounded by barren land because it's a desert. And so exiling means to kick you out. Moses is kicked out. He's exiled. And that means pretty much certain death. So he doesn't die. He wanders through the desert. He doesn't die. He actually stumbles upon this little village within the desert, far out into the desert, where they have a well. Actually, the well was built by Jacob. So that would be Moses' great, probably somewhere in there. Great grandfather. Also an Israelite. And he settles there. He marries. He has kids. He's a shepherd. Very interesting to note that he's a shepherd. One day, as he is taking care of his flocks, he notices on this mountain there's a bush burning, but the bush isn't like turning to ashes. It's just inflamed, but not like burning. And he goes to investigate it. Well, that burning bush was really God. And God speaks to Moses and says, you need to return to Egypt and you need to set my people free. And Moses says, nope, I'm not the right person for the job. God appears to him several times to speak to him and try to talk him into it. Because here's something that many people don't know about Moses. Moses has a stuttering problem. Moses does not speak very clearly. And he's like, I can't go talk to Pharaoh. I must sound crazy. Well, he ends up taking one of his brothers with him. And his brother becomes a spokesman. He does go to Egypt. He doesn't go the first time he's asked, but he does go to Egypt. And he goes in front of Pharaoh. And he says, let my people go. And Pharaoh's like, there's no way I'm letting your people go. Forget it. I'm getting all this work for free. We're building all these pyramids. We're doing all these great things. I'm not letting them go. And Moses says, if you do not let my people go, God will send plagues upon your land. And he carries this staff. And the staff is like the hand of God. If you look at page 100 towards the bottom of the page, there is a spot that says the 10 plagues. Okay? And you can read more about the 10 plagues if you look up those Bible verses. So there's the river of blood. All the waters turn to blood. And by the way, each plague lasted 7 days. And they only happened in the area of Egypt where the Egyptians lived. The Israelites lived kind of outside of Egypt. Okay? So you can kind of think about it as like Tiffin could be where the Egyptians lived, but the Israelites maybe lived in Old Fort, maybe lived in Bascom, maybe lived in New Riggle, maybe lived in Republic or Attica. So somewhere around. Okay? Bettsville, you get the idea. Then there were frogs. 7 days of frogs everywhere. Gnats, in case you're wondering what that is. Gnats are teeny tiny little flies everywhere for 7 straight days. Flies, as if the gnats weren't bad enough. Then we have flies. Disease. This disease was of the animals. So think about it. Their food source is going. They lost their water source for a week when the water turned to blood. Those flies and gnats aren't appetizing. And then there's disease falling on their animals. Then there's boils. What are boils? Boils are sores all over your skin. You would not want these for 7 days. Oh, by the way, each time Moses goes back to Pharaoh, will you let my people go? And Pharaoh says, no, nope, 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 nope. Hail. Now, the bad part is the disease destroyed the animals. The hail is going to destroy the crops. You know what hail is? Big ice balls that can destroy crops. Locusts are going to come eat whatever's left over of those crops. And then there's darkness. 7 days of total darkness. Now, we are spoiled in 2020. We have electricity. We don't know what it's like to live in total darkness. Complete and utter darkness, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Would be hard. And each time Pharaoh says, no, 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 no. And then comes the last plague. And Moses goes to Pharaoh and says, if you don't let my people go, the firstborn of all Egyptians will die. Pharaoh says no. So God tells Moses, this is what you need to tell all the Israelites, that you need to slaughter a lamb. That's important to remember. You're going to slaughter a lamb and you're going to use the blood and you're going to paint the blood around your door frame. And when the angel of death passes over, they will see that blood and they'll pass over you. They will know that you're a follower of me. So the Israelites do this. The Egyptians do not. And the firstborn of all Egyptians, and this includes the animals as well, of all Egyptians dies, including Pharaoh's own son. It was after this that Pharaoh finally agrees, I will let my people, I will let the Israelites go. Now, here's a fun fact. And we're going to talk a lot more about this next week. So this is just an intro. Fun fact is that the followers, Israelites, are also known as the Jews in the Jewish religion. Now, the Jewish religion and our religion go hand in hand for a long time. Their book that they worship, that they study, is our Old Testament. We are the same. We split off when it comes to Jesus. So the Jews actually celebrate this holiday. They celebrate this holiday. It's called the Passover. And the Passover is ironically celebrated 3 days before Easter because Jesus was celebrating the Passover. Are you ready for this? On the night he was arrested and taken into custody before he was nailed to the cross, before he was crucified. That's a lot of parallels in our story. Do you also get that the Egyptians were set out to kill all the children of the Israelites? Sorry, blank moment. Of the Israelites, and what ended up happening is that we lost Egyptian children. The firstborns were killed. And think about that. Are you the firstborn? Is your mom the firstborn? Is your dad the firstborn? Who all would have been lost? That's a lot of loss. So the important thing to note is that Pharaoh lets the people go. Now remember that, because that's where we're going to start next week. All right, boys and girls, there's an assignment. Now you get to make a video for me. But I have to watch a lot of them. So your limit is 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. And the assignment is there on Google Classroom. All right. Thanks, 6th graders. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.